Hello and welcome to everyone across the nation joining today's workshop on merging records. This is Dawn Montgomery with the CASAS Technology Support Team, and I will be presenting today's workshop. This workshop focuses on using CASAS eTests Online together with TOPS Pro Enterprise Online for bringing together two different records of the same student in your online database. This function is available with both basic and enhanced access. In other words, a TE license or collective agreement with CASAS is not required. This is one of 23 complimentary CASAS Online Implementation Basics workshops. We highly recommend attending as many workshops possible to learn about best practices and ask questions to become confident in using the online system. Online help is available on our website from training and support for eTests Online and TOPS Pro Enterprise. You will want to be sure and bookmark these as your electronic go-to resources. Electronic resources are updated periodically, so going to them will help to ensure you are receiving the most current information. Information for today's workshop comes from eTests Online Help in the Online User Guide. The guide has hyperlinks throughout to help you move quickly between sections, such as Section 8.3 on merging duplicated student records. Again, you will want to bookmark electronic resources and search keywords to pinpoint specific information when you need help. Before we get started, I want to be sure and point out where you will find access to eTests Online and TOPS Pro Enterprise Online. Notice the URLs I just pasted in the chat box. This is the main domain name address you will use when your agency is set up with an online database. This is commonly referred to as the production server, where live data is produced. For today's workshop, we will be using a simulation server for a fictional school called Rolling Hills Adult School. The simulation server is populated with fictional data to give you a realistic training experience. This is available for anyone wanting to experiment and explore our online system without risk of compromising live data. You will find information on how to access the simulation server on our website from Training and Support, eTests Online Help, Getting Started, and download the simulation server document. Now let's begin, folks, and please do not hesitate to ask questions along the way. The CASAS online system offers three methods. Actually, that was from the last workshop here. So let's see, the merging student records. The student record may have been duplicated if a different student ID was entered due to a typographical error or other reasons. Depending on how long duplicated records went undetected, the student may have one or many child records, such as program, class, and test records. Here is the image that we've displayed in the last two workshops to emphasize the importance of having one unique ID for a student for their parent record in your online database, to which all child records, such as class enrollments and records, program enrollments and records, as well as test records, are all associated and linked to the student by one unique ID. The merge function will bring together all related records for the same student. The Merging Navigator panel will list any related records that need user guidance for merging. Now let's go ahead and demonstrate. Now just to let you know, first off, that there is no merging function available through the CASAS eTest application. In fact, there is no capability of manually adding or editing student records through the CASAS eTest user application. CASAS eTest Online is primarily a testing application, and there is no editing function available. All editing and managing of data is done through TOPS Pro Enterprise. Now, when accessing TOPS Pro Enterprise for the first time on a local computer, click the TE Client or Install link located at the top left of the web browser window. A client application will install on the local computer to connect with the online server. A shortcut icon is automatically placed on the computer desktop. If you are a user who will access TE frequently, you may want to pin the shortcut to your taskbar along the bottom of your computer monitor for quick access when other applications, or at least to leave other applications open on your screen. TE opens to a login screen similar to eTests, except that you need to specify the server from the drop-down menu. We will be connecting with the simulation server. The simulation server has generic accounts for administrator, coordinator, proctor, and teacher login so that you may experience different types of user access. Coordinators and proctors do not automatically have access to TE. Access to TE may be granted by the agency to anyone with or without coordinator or proctor certification. Users enter login credentials to access either eTests or TE because there is only one, or they enter the same login credentials specifically to access either eTests or TE because there is only one database shared between both applications. So in this case, the simulation server agency ID is 4908. We will role play an administrator and enter our administrator password and connect to establish connection to the online database. TE opens to an empty screen. All data and reports are displayed from accessing menus along the top left. At top right displays the logged on user, application version, and general screen controls. All user activity is tracked and recorded in the online system, so it is important not to share login credentials. Merging duplicated student records is from the Records menu, Students, Demographics, the parent record for the student, such as displayed in this image here. Because there may be duplicated student records, that means that there may be duplicated parent records with any related child records. From the Records menu then, launching the Demographics lister, search the Students lister to locate possible duplications. Now, a tip for managing your data is to split the name column into showing the first name. I'm right-clicking with my mouse, and then I will show middle name and show last name. This makes managing and auditing your data much more efficient, and we no longer need the full name column, so we'll hide the column. Now, if this is a column configuration that you prefer, each time you open the demographics lister on your local TE client or the TE client installed on the local machine, then from the More button, select Edit Schema, save it as your default, or give it a different name to preserve the default and save. In this case, we'll go ahead and save. So that next time, and I'll go ahead and demonstrate here, next time we go to Records, Students, Demographics, our Student Demographics lister will automatically open into the column configuration or schema that we saved on with our TE client. Now, searching for duplications, duplicated student records is not efficient if you attempt it by an ID. However, I find the most fruitful approach is to search by first name. So I'll go ahead and search on our May student, the student that we worked with yesterday, as well as the student that we've worked with today. So I'll go ahead and select May. And of course, you can also scroll through the entire list. But as you can see here, we have possible duplicated student records. Notice we have the name is similar among all three. Date of birth, two of the records have date of birth. Both are female, not Hispanic or Latino, white, and English. So I would suspect that these are duplicated student records. Now, two records of the same student may be merged in the same site. Notice that we have student records for May at the South Campus and the North Campus. Two records of the same student at different sites cannot be merged. And in most cases, there is no difference with the student ID, as you can see here. So these are not duplicates in the online system. It's simply that the online system is tracking and recording student activity as it occurs per site. So in some cases, if there is a difference with the student ID at one or both sites, you simply need to edit the ID at one site to match the ID at the other. Let's go ahead and sort by site. And as you can see here, these are two suspects. May student under one ID, seemingly identical ID with an extra 0. So I would say this is a good bet that these are duplicated student records for which we will want to merge. When duplicates are found, use either the Shift plus left click key command to select duplicate records that are together, or use, and I'll just use this as a demonstration, but we won't actually here. Let's do it by this. This is a good example. If the records are separated, then use highlight one, use your control key, left mouse click, and select the other record. So use the control key if the records are separated in the list, or if the records are together, then use the Shift click key command. The point being, folks, is that two records must be highlighted in order to trigger the merge function. If I only have one record selected, the merge function is available from the More button. More simply means that there are more buttons that there is no room to display along the toolbar. From Miscellaneous, you can see Merge, but it is grayed out. So the merge function or the merge wizard is not enabled because we have only highlighted one record. As soon as we highlight the second record, from the More button, select Miscellaneous, and now the Merge Wizard is enabled. Go ahead and click Merge to initiate the Merge Wizard. TE now displays a screen with entities to be merged at left and corresponding fields from records selected to merge at the right. Conflicting information is highlighted and must be solved before records can be merged. You have several options for merging conflicting fields. Notice that the records we have selected, record 1 is the ID with 1 leading 0, record 2 is the ID with 2 leading zeros. If you have great assurance that all information as it relates to the student is associated with one record over the other, you have the option to set all to one record, such as set all to record 1 and mark all fields solved. And that automatically solves all records, and then you can apply the merge. Let's go ahead and cancel. Whoops, and reopen that. And the same effect will happen when we set all to record 2. You also have the option to set records to the newer or the older. Until you are sure of all conflicting fields, it's best to solve conflicts per field. For example, if we determine that record 1 in the ID is the correct ID, we can select record 1 and move on to the next conflicting field. We can also mark solved per field as we solve the conflicts per field. In the middle name, record 1 has the middle initial, record 2 does not have the middle initial. So let's go ahead and select record 1 to apply the middle initial to both duplicated records. Now it looks pretty well that record 1 is holding out as the winner that provides the most information about the student. So let's go ahead and solve those conflicting fields. Now notice here under education that record 1 happens to be missing highest year of school as well as highest degree or diploma. So in this case, we will want to opt to apply information from record 2 so that we have so that we end up with the record with the most complete information. So let's go ahead and let's say if we solve and continue to work through these fields, then you also have the option to simply mark all fields solved simultaneously. And notice that the entities to be merged now it's a little bit hard to see, I'm sure, on your end because of the highlight color. But now the entity to be merged, which is the demographics record, is checked. That means this record is good to go to merge the duplicated student records. If there were other entities to be merged, they would be listed here in the list, and we would need to visit each type of record and go through the same process of solving conflicting fields. Because there are no more entities to be merged, we have solved all conflicting fields, we may now apply the merge to bring together the 2 records of the same student. Notice now that the duplicates are gone, and now we have 1 record of May student at the North Campus and 1 record of May student at the South Campus. Now, as mentioned earlier, 2 records or a record at 2 different sites cannot be merged. Even though the merge button is highlighted, you will receive an error that indicates that this cannot be merged, or you cannot merge students from different sites. Whenever you want to see all data associated with a student across all sites within the agency, simply filter for the student to display all demographic records of the student across sites, such as you see displayed here, and click the Aggregated button along the top in the toolbar. That will roll up both records into one. And now if we expand this, you will see that the student record now is rolled up to the parent level of the agency. So no longer do we have site level records displayed. This is an aggregated record. And to look at the aggregated data, we can either double click, or a feature that we introduced in the last workshop is to enable the child lister to increase your screen display, and then we can easily toggle through the child records. The parent record remains in the top page. The child record displays below in the bottom page. So we can toggle through this, and you can see all records merged. So one of the records had an enrollment in a class. One of the records also had a program enrollment, so that aggregates both records together for the most complete information about that student within the current program year. And as you saw in the last workshop, for those of you attended, we added this test record for the May student in the last workshop on adding tests. Let's go ahead and remove the child lister. Now, and take the aggregated mode off. Now I have just one other demonstration for you on merging duplicated student records. Essentially, two records of the same student may be merged within the same site. So in that case, there is a difference with the student's ID, and you will need to highlight both records and merge to consolidate data from both records into one record under the same ID at the same site. Two records of the same student at different sites, as mentioned, cannot be merged, and in most cases there is no difference with the student's ID, and the online system is tracking and recording student activity as it occurs per site. And in some cases, if there is a difference in ID, simply edit the IDs per site so that both IDs at each site match. And we also saw how to aggregate these two student records. But one other example that I would like to bring up to you, let's say, for example, that we did have a difference in ID. And let's say that May student's ID really should be a 7 here, a 2-7 instead of 2-6. And I'll just use that as an example. So let's start with, let's say, the South Campus. And let's go ahead and double-click to open the student demographics record. To edit the identification ID or the identification code specifically, click the edit icon in the identification section and edit the ID, and then click Save in the toolbar at the top. Let's refresh the list, and now you see that May student's ID has been changed at the South Campus. Now, because these are the same students, you will definitely want to change the ID at the other campus, because these records will not aggregate because they are seen as different records. So let's uncheck that, and let's go to North Campus, double-click to open the detailed information about the student, click the edit icon for identification, and let's attempt to change the ID at the North Campus and save the record. When you receive an error such as displayed on the screen, indicating a record with the same information in key fields already exists and duplicates are not allowed for this object type, and then it's identified student ID. So what this is indicating is that there in fact is a student record with this ID that already exists at the North Campus. Click OK. Close this record. You cannot save the record. And notice here though, even if we refresh the list, we still cannot see the seemingly duplicated record. And this is because all records by default display records only in the current program year. You can toggle to prior program years or completely remove the in-program years filter. Click OK. And now you see that we in fact do have another record for May student. And to understand the difference, let's enable the child lister so that you can see, or so that I can emphasize. And let's just look at the North Campus site here for that the record, or the student record under 527, let's remove the program year filter in the child lister, is that this record has activity in the prior program year, whereas the record with the 2.6 has activity in the current program year. So in order to merge, correct the ID, say in the current program year, let's say that the ID should be 2.7. To correct it for the 2.6, or we could even say that this record is incorrect. If we double-clicked on the 2.7 and attempted to edit that record to say 2.6, we will receive the same type of error that we did in going the opposite way. So what needs to happen in this case, folks, is that these records are duplicate records of the same student at the same site, and instead they simply need to be merged. And the only seemingly difference, well, one record has a little bit more information, such as you see here, ethnicity, race, and native language, but they are at the same campus, but records in 2 different program years. So in this case, we'll merge those records from the More button, select Miscellaneous, and click Merge. Again, entities to be merged are in the Student Information Record. Notice the little symbol with a circle and a slash. That means that that indicates that there are areas of conflict that need to be solved. We'll go ahead and select, in this case, we'll select Record 2 as the true ID because it happens to be the date of birth here. And we'll select Record 2 here, Record 2 here, and I think that's about it. Let's go ahead and say mark all fields solved and apply the merge. Okay, the merge was completed successfully. So now you have one record for May at the North Campus. And if we refresh our screen, you will see now the merged information. History of May having activity in the 13-14 program year, as well as activity occurring in the current program year. And any other records associated with May, such as the student records listing labor force and labor force and goals, class enrollments, program enrollments, as well as tests, and any demographics information, such as highest year of school and highest degree or diploma earned. Let's go ahead and remove the child lister. And let's refresh. And now that you see, well, we have North Campus selected. Let me go ahead and go back to the parent level. And now you see we have the same identical student at 2 different campuses. As long as what's called the aggregate key, such as date of birth and gender, date of birth, gender, and ID, all match, then records will aggregate. There is an aggregate key, so if you ever experience 2 records of the same student not aggregating from different sites, is because there is an aggregate key that you can locate in your agency information. And the aggregate key would otherwise display here on this screen. So folks, are there any questions about merging duplicate records of the same student? There is a help document from the help menu, contents, merging duplicated students. There is another example here that you can walk yourself through with the fictional data. And to give you an idea of what the screen would look like with entities to be merged is that there is a screenshot here. And notice we just dealt with conflicts in the student demographics record. However, you can see here that there are multiple areas of conflict when attempting to merge the two records in the example on this document. So that's what that would look like. So folks, if you are finished working in TE, at far right, click Pages. From the drop-down menu, select Close All Pages. From the TE icon at top left, lock your screen if you plan to return and continue working. Otherwise, disconnect from the server and then exit the application. Now, we don't need to exit eTest because we didn't visit eTest. Now, had we have popped over to eTest to look at those student records before merging, we would have seen those duplications through the CASAS eTest user interface. However, there is no functionality to merge or edit records through the CASAS eTest application. Now, folks, each workshop in a set of CASAS Online implementation basics builds on the last in a logical progression for helping you to get up and running with the online system. So if you miss a workshop, we have posted in Training and Support, eTest Online Help, the link to the CASAS Online Implementation Basics playlist so that you may review a previously attended workshop or review a previously attended workshop. I did the same thing in the last workshop, and or preview upcoming workshops. And you may also access them from our social media newsroom on the CASAS YouTube channel. Now, just one last note here. Let me paste this information in our chat box. This information that I just pasted in the chat box, and hopefully it will go for some, there it goes, is about our technology support team. Please take note of the email address. The support team is available to provide you with any technical assistance you may need to ensure successful implementation. This email address alerts a support team that includes several members. Communicating to the larger group will help us to ensure you receive a timely response. Team members are available 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Time, Monday through Friday. We look forward to you joining us for the next workshops tomorrow on access groups and users. These two workshops go hand in hand because we advocate, highly recommend managing your users through access groups. If there are no questions, or if there are questions, I'll hang in there. If you have any last minute questions. Otherwise, this concludes today's workshop. Thank you for your time on attending how to merge duplicate student records in your online database. Have a great day, folks.